addiction to grace, moving from addiction to grace. Welcome to the studio. Help me welcome to the studio none other than a very dear friend of mine. I love her dearly from the moment that she and I met. Minister Arleen Josey.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arleen. Which would you prefer me to call you? Minister Arleen Josey, Minister
Arleen,
Josey?
Arleen.
Arleen,
yes,
thank
indeed.
you. Thank you so much for being here today.
You are very welcome.
I think this is a very important topic, addiction.
It is.
So many people are struggling with addiction.
You are right.
So many people are struggling
Yes,
with
indeed.
addiction. And I know, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Yes, indeed.
You know, I tell people all the time, I had a very bad experience with drugs many years ago. And when my son was just a little something, and I promised God that if he would allow me to make it home to my son, I would never touch drugs again. And I'm so glad I made that promise, because I was presented with the opportunity to utilize or to use drugs so many times after that. But because of my commitment to God, that I stand here today drug-free.
Thank God.
So,
Thank God.
Arleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you
so very much. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's great.
I'm
Let's
really
get you
doing good.
comfortable.
I'm holding my own, but I'm
Holding
doing
your
good.
own.
I'm
That's
doing
wonderful.
good. I'm glad to be here, and I thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God.
You know, so I tell you, it's a great moment for us that are in addiction and overcoming addiction. So
Amen.
yes, this is a great and it's a huge moment, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Amen. And I just like to say, if you're listening out there, please take time to share this video, to share the show today. It's a really, like I said, really important topic. Addiction is affecting, you know, not only does it affect the person who's addicted to
That's
the
right.
drugs
That's
and
right.
or alcohol, but it affects the family too.
Absolutely.
You know, some people think it's just the addict that's going through, but it's not just the addict.
That's right.
It's the addict and the family and the
That's
addict's
right.
family. It is everybody that's involved.
That's right.
You know, that loves you.
Everybody you're connected to.
Everybody, that's it. I like that.
Absolutely.
Everybody that you're connected to is affected.
Indeed.
And I like
Indeed.
that as well. That's really, really important. I want to say that I was talking to your sister, your twin sister, and we were talking about something, and she mentioned to me that you had a story to tell. And I'm telling you, everybody, when I heard this young lady's story, it is nothing but the grace of God that you are sitting here today in the condition and in the shape that you're in. God is good.
Yes, He is.
You know, as I was coming here today, I was thinking to myself that there are some people that are in the grips of addiction, and they really believe that they can't make it through it.
That's right.
They really believe that.
That's
mean,
right.
on my way here, I saw, you know, some individuals who appear to be strung out. But I'm here to tell you that God is able.
He is.
And you are an example of that. So welcome to the show. So let's just get started. I want you to start off by telling the listening audience, who is Minister Arleen Josey?
Well, I tell you, who I am today is a wonderfully, fearfully made human being. I'm just so grateful just to be alive, and I tell you, the person I am now, I can say that I'm more confident in myself. I hold to my truth like never before. I am more trusting now.
Yeah.
And just knowing who I am, see, because before I didn't know who I am, so I know and I am sure of who I am today, and it's just great to wake up every morning knowing that I know who I am and whose I am, and excited to start my day, and you know, I'm just a more exciting person now, and I live every day. I live every day to the fullest.
Amen.
Every day.
Amen. You know what, I love what you said, that you know who you are.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something. It's really a dangerous thing walking around not knowing
Indeed.
who you are or
Indeed.
whose you are.
Yes,
and when you fully understand who you are and who you belong to, then things began to change. Things began to turn around. And just like Jerry P. Beasley, before we came on the air, Jerry was saying there's a glow about you. And I think that has a part to do with you knowing who you are.
Exactly.
And that's really important. And then something else too. I tell people all the time that I create that real talk. Real Talk is a show. It provides a platform to ordinary people like you and me to tell extraordinary stories. Now, I believe that all of us has an extraordinary story to tell.
You're right.
But a lot of us want to bury it deep inside and and if that's what you choose to do, that's fine. But I am so glad that you want to tell your story.
Yes, I do.
And
yes,
that because you know if you tell it, so many others will be helped and blessed as a result of that. So I am honored that you are here. Not everybody will tell that. I know I have family and friends who have been in the grips of addiction, but they don't want to tell it, and that's fine. But I believe that when we go through something and we share it, it helps others.
It really, really does. And Carla, I also want to say too that when we are delivered from addictions of any kind, you cannot forget where God brought you from.
Amen.
And a lot of times we don't talk about the dirty, the lowdown, and the nasty stuff because we feel like we have arrived now. But I would never forget those dark, dark places.
Wow.
And I like sharing those dark, dark places of where I have came from and what I have walked through and been through. Because it is the dark places that got me where I am now.
Amen.
I was in a hole, I was in a hole, and it's many a times, especially when you're dealing with women, we are so emotional at times. We don't like to tell those stories of what we did for drugs, and many a times that we've been raped and we've had to go down on our knees when we was not praying.
Wow.
You see, that's the stuff that people that are in addiction now, they want to hear those stories. They don't want we that have overcame or have been delivered, they don't want us to hide that stuff.
Amen.
It's easy to say the Lord has brought me from a mic. Well, where did He bring you from? Let me hear that part when you was in that crack house. When the lights were off.
Right, in the valley moments.
Come on now.
People want to hear about the valley moments. Too often, I like that. I like that, Arleen. Too many times we want to shout from the mountaintop. We want to tell people, and hey, look at me now. Look at where I am now. But we don't want to talk about where we came from. And that's where we can get our strength from, where we came from. But before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to just dive right on in to Real Talk with Carla J. I have a very special guest in the studio with me today, none other than Minister Arleen Josey. She is a recovering addict, and she is here to tell her story of moving from addiction to grace. And I just love her, y'all. And I'm going to tell you, there are many, many reasons why I love her, but I love the fact that she tells her story so boldly. I was telling her during the break how so many people, they have overcome addiction and they've overcome other things, but they hide it and they don't tell other people. And there's so many people that are dealing with this issue today. So thank you for being here with me today, Arleen. Now let's start the interview. How long have you been sober?
I have been sober now for about 16, 17 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
16 or 17
years. 17 years.
Wow.
And I tell you, from the time or from the minute that I knew I was delivered, I never looked back.
Wow, never looked back.
Not from that time.
And y'all wait till you hear her story. So let's talk about the first time you ever did drugs and why. Okay.
I would say that in my teens, I experienced, of course, marijuana, and, doing back in the 70s, we experienced the Mad Dog and all those kind of things. But when I got an adult, that's when I started experiencing crack cocaine. And I think that's where my life really, really took a turn for the worse. Because, of course, with marijuana, you can get up and you can go to work and
live a normal
come
life.
home and live a normal life and cook and all these many things. But then when you come into that addiction of crack cocaine, then it's another total story. Oh, I loved it at first. Oh, that was a euphoria that I just enjoyed until it just took me all the way down. So, I would say that when I really started getting into drugs is when I started using crack cocaine.
And sometimes I think to myself, how does one move from marijuana to crack cocaine? I know for me I've never done cocaine. I've done marijuana many years ago. Thank God I'm no longer part of that life. But how do you make that decision to go from something like marijuana to crack cocaine? And do you give it much thought, or is it just something that you just say, I'm going to try one day?
Well, sometimes the decision is made for you, or either it's encouraged by someone else. It's always encouraged by someone else. I would say, as for me, I had met this lady. She probably, I think I was in my early 30s, just coming into 30, and she probably was over 65. And she lived in the same apartment complex as I. And so I was smoking marijuana, and then I met her. And she said, well, why don't you come on down to the house and we can roll a few squares or what have you. And I did that. And so when I went into her home, we sat at the table, and she had this glass pipe up there. She had quite a few little baggies with rocks in them, and I had never been around that before. And so she began to smoke her out of her pipe, the rock. And I began to just continue to smoke my marijuana, and she came and she said, why don't you just try it here? And I said, oh, no. I said, no, thank you. I think I just stick with what I got. And we began to continue to talk and to laugh and get to know one another. And she said, girl, just go on, girl. Just get one little puff, girl. It ain't going to hurt you. And I said, well, I'll go on and I'll just go ahead on and take one puff. I took that one puff, and I believe I was over her house. I got over there about 3 o'clock that afternoon. And when I left her house, it was 8 o'clock the next morning.
Jesus.
That one puff.
So you got over there at what time?
See, 3 o'clock. I'm probably a little bit after 3 that afternoon. I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
Jesus. And didn't leave until 8 p.m.
8 o'clock that next morning.
8 o'clock the next morning.
That one puff, that one hit, took me all the way to the next morning. Wow. And I got home, I closed that door, and I could not believe that time had passed so fast in front of me, from the time I was sitting at home minding my own business, doing my own little thing.
Right. What did you think afterwards? What did you think when you got back into your space, into your home? What did you think?
Well, when I got back into my apartment, of course, I lived by myself. I was my apartment. The pool was right in front of my apartment. I'm a very clean person. Everything was just wonderful at my little apartment. But when I got back home and I sat down, I could not believe what I did. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And I just sat there.
Wow.
But I was so wired. I was so up. You know, it was euphoria. It was wonderful, but at the same time, it was bittersweet because so much time had passed. And I had smoked so much.
Wow.
But that, I tell you, that night, 3 o'clock in the morning, a knock at the door. The same lady, and she was with 2 other people.
Oh my God.
And they was at my door with a plate in their hand of rock cocaine.
Jesus. And you hadn't even called her or anything?
Hadn't called, and they knew they had me.
Were you working then?
And I was working then. Didn't even go to work the next day. Oh, I did the right thing. I called in. And that was okay because I never missed work. Matter of fact, I tell you where I was working. I was working at Taco Bell. I had been there probably about, at that time, 6 or 7 years. Shift manager.
Shift manager. Wow. You know what? It's just something. People think that peer pressure ends when we become adults.
So.
Peer pressure doesn't end when we become adults.
Not so.
Because that was a form of peer pressure.
Yes, it was.
Over, you hear you visiting a peer of yours, and you told her no initially, but then she kept offering it and offering it, and then you felt compelled to.
Yes.
I'll never forget. And it happens like that. That's why I'm so glad I made a vow to God, because it's peer pressure. Yes. You will be presented with things like that. Okay, so you smoked it that first time, and I had a friend once before who older gentleman, a manager on his job, supervisor, doing well, and he was telling me how he had smoked crack one time and was addicted. Could you honestly say at that point that you became addicted?
Oh, absolutely, because the more they brought, the more I smoked. Not only that, a lot of people don't understand when a person encourages you or influences you to smoke this crack cocaine, you will find out eventually that it does not belong to them. it belongs to someone else.
Right.
And they're going to threaten you after they have baited you in, and you end up having to pay for it, because that's exactly what happened to me. After 2 or 3 days passed, the lady called me. She said, you know that crack that we were smoking?
It wasn't free.
It wasn't free.
Wow.
You need to pay for it now.
Wow. What did you think then?
I was too through. And I said,
You were
no.
too through, but addicted.
Yeah, but addicted at the time. You know, I mean, because after that initial encounter with this lady, I was smoking every day.
Where were you getting it from?
So,
From her?
No, it comes free. See, because now my house is somewhere that they can come to now.
Wow.
Because now my door is open.
Wow.
And they're bringing it in free. It becomes free until you are so far in to where they get to know you a little bit. See, they got to get to know you. The people that's already addicted,
Right.
and already controlled by it, they get to know you, know your moves, know where you work, and all this kind of stuff. So now you're able to pay for it. So eventually it's free until you have to pay for it.
You know what? And something else too. A lot of people think it's a gradual change. For you, it was instant. It was almost like instant.
Of course it
People
was.
People have to understand that. It just takes that one time.
Yes, it does.
And it was just like that with you, right?
Yes, it was, because of the euphoria. It makes you feel good. I mean, this is a high. If I had my choice of marijuana and crack cocaine, I would stick with the marijuana for sure.
Really?
Because crack cocaine is a high that you just continue. Once you get that first hit, it is a high that you continue to chase for many years. You're chasing it. Then it comes to that point now that you don't have to chase it, because it have chased you and it have got you. And so you have no control. It tells you what to do. Now you are its slave.
Wow. Now, at this point, what's going on in your head?
Well, hiding,
Hi.
keeping it from my family.
Yeah.
Um,
And how do you keep that? How do you keep a secret like that from your family that changes your mental?
Well, what you do
state?
is you're very, very careful, and you're very, very cunning. And so when you're going around your family, whether it's for holidays, for Christmas and things like this, and you want to hide your addiction, you don't smoke that day.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose weight, which it will make you lose some weight after some time, you put on 2 pair of pants to make the other one fit.
Wow.
You see, you put on 2 pairs of shirts or so forth, and you try to keep a straight face. And what's so wonderful about family, they know that it's something.
It's something. It's something.
It's something about you.
Of your family, since you mentioned the family members, who noticed something or who said something? Who picked it up the first time?
That would be the other side of my heartbeat, which is my twin sister.
Your twin sister.
Because her and I, we
Audrey.
are so close.
Yeah.
To where when in my addiction, I stayed from around her. She would, come on, let's do this and let's do that. We always hung together. Well, you know, we like peas in a pie. And then I started keeping myself distant away from here. I always had an excuse, or I always had something else to do. And so she was working, at the time she was working for Social Security Administration, but she had been there 10 years. So she just called me one day, you know, and she said, look, she said, I'm finna come over there. I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm coming over there. And she said, you better not move. She said, you better be there when I get there. And she hung up. And then I knew that was the time that I would have to tell her. So she came over, and when she came over, I knew she was going to search the house. To make a long story short, I started dumping everything.
Really?
Oh, the Brillo pads, the pipes and the stems and all this stuff. I started cleaning it up really, really good. I just couldn't clean myself up, because as soon as she got over there, she said, you doing something, and you're going to sit down and you're going to tell me what it is, because your head looked bigger than your body.
Wow.
So because I got rid of the evidence,
Right.
the evidence was sitting right in front of her, and then it broke my heart. It broke her heart. And she knew it was something going on, but she needed me to tell her.
She
And
needed
so
you to
and
tell
I
her.
told her. And at that time, she the only one that mattered, because I already had issues in my family. My mother, you know, it really starts from your childhood. You never feel loved, and so it's 7 children, and somebody getting treated better than you, so nobody really cares, and you know, and the family, they know, Listen, the family, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, everybody know it. They just not saying anything because it hits every family. Because you got a cousin that's on crack cocaine.
Exactly.
You got an uncle that's, so everybody's not going to say a whole lot. But that one that was close to me, which is my twin, oh yeah.
How much longer after you started smoking or doing crack cocaine did it start to really interfere with your lifestyle?
Oh my God. Probably the first year.
The first year?
The first year that I was smoking.
So you were able to kind of keep it in grips
yes.
for about a year.
Yes.
And then after a year, do you remember when you just said, I lost it? What point do you think it was when you say, I think I've lost it? Like it has me and I don't have it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
After 3 years, I knew it had me.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So
I
prior
totally
to the 3 years, you were able to work
Oh,
and
I
make
was able to work, pay my rent. I was able to do quite a few things. Of course, I was late. I had some little obstacles along the way.
Right.
But, oh, yes, I was able to work and buy my own.
Really?
And I was able to get up in the morning and fix myself up to the best of my ability. And but it was sometimes that I was up 2 or 3 days and was able to go to work and smoking on my way.
Smoking on your way.
Smoking in between breaks.
Wow.
People don't like to tell that because it had me at that point.
Wow.
And I may go on a break and drive out, still driving my car.
Wow. Where was the lady, that neighbor? Where
She
was
was-
she?
she
Were
was
y'all
still-
still? Were you still in the
Yes,
same complex?
she was still in the apartments after she had threatened me and talking about that I was going to pay this money and so forth, and the threats kept coming.
Right.
And one day I was over to my twin sister's house and she had called me and I talked to her and she was telling me what I was going. Matter of fact, I don't know, I can't remember how she got my number. But I think I had called her or something because she had been threatening me and I wasn't at home and she was saying that they was going to break into my apartment. So I called her from my twin sister's house.
Right.
Well, my twin sister's is in the bedroom on the other phone listening.
Oh, wow.
She came in that living room and she said, come on, get up, put on your clothes. I put on my clothes and we drove over there and she paid the lady.
Wow.
She paid the lady because the threats that the woman was making to me,
Right.
it scared her more than it scared me. I knew that the lady was dealing with me with fear. And so my twin sister paid her. We went over there, same apartment duplex, paid her, we left and so forth, and I never talked to the lady again, but I've always seen her. Come to find out later, this lady was taking care of her 90-year-old mother, taking her mother's check. But this is because of the addiction. This is when they have you and you don't have it.
Because you would say she was addicted as well.
Oh, absolutely.
She was addicted as well.
Absolutely.
How many times did you try and stop?
Let me see. Can I use my fingers and yours?
Wow. That many?
That many times. And
That
so
many times.
I tried and I relapsed, tried and I relapsed, tried and I relapsed and relapsed. And then I got out there and I'm telling you, addiction is really something when it really have you, because now when you're chasing it, you're walking the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to find the drug. I remember a particular time I was looking for just a dime rock, a little dime rock. All I had was $10. And I saw this guy, and I was talking to him, and we was about to exchange the money for the rock, and Carla, he grabbed me. And when he grabbed me into this bear hug, I looked behind me, and he had a sawed-off shotgun pointing right at him.
Jesus.
Pointing right at him. This guy behind him wanting to shoot him because he owed him money, but now I'm caught in the crossfire.
Wow.
And I looked, and my eyes got so big, and I started squirming. I started squirming out of there. And then when I did, I took off running down the street. And see, in these situations, I was raped, you know. I was raped as I was going through my addiction. As many times that I've been around guns, people have dropped dead in the front of a group of us that was in an apartment from overdose and smoking drugs and not just crack cocaine, but the tie stick and all these other things, and pills and all this stuff here. Do you think that we tried to give him CPR? No, because the addiction didn't let us.
The addiction didn't let you.
What the addiction did was say, clean up everything before we call the ambulance, before we call the cops. Clean up everything.
So you've seen individuals die from
Absolutely,
this.
absolutely.
Take me, if you can, into your head, into when you were in the full force of your addiction. What was going through your head? What goes through an addict's head? You know, a lot of people say, look, you can just stop. Just stop.
No, you can't.
What
no,
goes
you
through
can't.
an
And I
addict's
want to say
head?
that is a lie, and we that have been truly addicted, and we that have overcame and been delivered, we know that that's a lie. You can't just you can't stop. You can't stop in the middle of an addiction. And the thing that we go through, and I think I can speak for millions of us that have been addicted, we are so tired. Number one, we know we was not raised like this. All of that comes into play. You remember your morals, your values, your dignity, your integrity, things you said that you would never, ever, ever do.
Right.
You end up doing.
Right. Is it like a constant battle?
It is
like
a constant
like
battle.
one minute you're battling, you're saying you're not going to do it, and the next you find yourself.
And I'm gonna tell you, while you smoking, you are praying, God, please don't let me die in this tonight.
Oh, really?
Because when you're smoking crack cocaine, it deals with your heart. Your heart is beating as fast as a newborn baby, and you praying that, and you steady trying to get that hit. There are many people that have had heart attacks by smoking because of the heartbeat. Wow. You know, everything here is affected. And so, yes, we're praying all the time. People that's in addiction now, there's somebody smoking right now, Carla, they're praying. They're praying, Lord, while they're smoking, please help me. Jeez. Please help me to stop this.
Yeah. How bad did it get for you?
Oh, it got so bad.
How bad? I remember you telling me a story about how you were in a drug house and you saw a crack in the door.
Yes, it got. Now that's when it really got bad. I was in. Matter of fact, I hadn't made it to the crack house yet, but a friend of mine, a guy. And let me tell you, when I say friend of mine, I want the audience to know too that we have many friends that are addicted to drugs. And if you have been a person that was addicted like I am, those same people that you were smoking with were your friends. They were my friends. They looked out for me. They pulled a gun on you if you tried to do something to me. So we all looked out for one another. So at some point, those were my friends, and some of them are still my friends today. Right. But I remember me and this guy, we was going to smoke, and so I went over to his house, which I thought was his house. Went over to his house and went in and everything, and we get ready to chop it up and everything.
Cocaine, chop up the cocaine.
Yeah, chop up the rock. And getting ready to smoke, and there was a knock at the door, and so as we was going to the door, I was going out the door, and it was probably about 12 guys, I would say. But the guys that was coming in the front door, they pushed me back in. And one guy said, "You're not going anywhere."
Were you going to leave? Had you done
out.
what you?
Yes. I had already took a hit, and I was ready to go.
Okay.
I was leaving. Okay. And so when I made it to the door, they said, "No, you're not going anywhere," and pushed me back in. And when they pushed me back into the living room, they made a round circle. And I'm just standing there. And I know, Carla, look, I know I'm in trouble. I know I'm in trouble, and there's nothing I can do.
Right, you know there's something getting ready to go down. I know something is going to go down, something is going to happen to me. But at the same time, I knew I put myself in that position because I should have been cunning and smart enough. Right.
But at any rate, they circled me, and they were talking and laughing and everything, and then out of a blink of an eye, one just punched me right in the face.
Wow.
With his fist, and I thought my whole head spinned around. He hit me just that hard.
Just out of the blue, no reason?
No reason, and they all got me in the circle and just talking. I had on a pair of shorts and I had on a shirt at the time. And one of the guys told me to pull off of my shirt, and I did. And I must say, at that time when I had on that shirt and those shorts, and I knew what can happen, then I began to get a little shaky, a little nervous.
Right.
And so the other one told me, now get down on your knees. Right. And I did exactly what I was told to do because I had no choice. Right.
Now what's going through your head?
What's going on through my head?
Are you thinking about family? Are you thinking about dying?
No, I'm not thinking about. The only thing that I'm thinking about, only thing that I'm saying in my mind and in my heart is, oh my God. That's all I'm saying. Because I know I'm finna die. I know this is it. this is.
So you thought that was it?
This is it. I'm finna feel some pain here.
Right. Was there any I know this may sound crazy, but was there any relief? Like, well, Lord, if I die here, I don't have to go through this anymore.
No.
You wanted to live.
I wanted to live. No, none of that. So I got on my knees, and now I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what I need to do, I need to do. So now that I'm down on my hands and my knees, this other guy is standing right in the front of me. And he have his legs spreaded, and they all still talking and going on. It's all of a sudden, I know it wasn't nobody but the Lord himself.
Right.
But he put my eyes on the front door, and there was a crack in the door where I can see outside. Because at this time, this is after 4 o'clock. It's daytime.
Right.
And so I looked at that door, and then my heart was beating out of my chest. You can hear my heart beating. And I said, Lord God, I said, and I was saying, and I would never forget. It seemed like the emotions of it is still coming back, because I was saying, Lord, if you just get me out of this,
right.
Lord, if you just get me out of this,
right.
just get me out of here.
Right.
I wasn't one to really say, if you get me out of here, I turn. I ain't have time for that. I ain't have time for that.
Yeah,
Lord, if you get me out of here,
just
I'll
get
do
me
this.
out of it.
Lord, get me out of here.
Yeah.
You know. And so when I looked at the door and I counted to 3, I said, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And I already know I'm looking between the guy's legs. My shirt is off.
Now there are 12 guys
And
here.
12
One
guys
has already
around.
hit you.
One already
really
hit me.
hard in your head.
Now I'm down on my hands.
Now you're
and my
down
knees.
on your hands.
I'm
and your
in
knees.
front of this guy here. I already can imagine what's gonna happen, and you can use your own imagination
Definitely.
as well. And so when I counted to 3, and my heart was beating, it was beating hard. I could feel it coming out of my chest, and I took off. I went under his legs. He went one way. I went out that door, and come to find out there were guys on the outside of the door looking out. And I run down the street, Carla.
Wow.
I ran as fast, because in school I was a track star.
Okay.
And I ran as fast as I could with just my shorts on.
Wow.
With just my shorts on. And so as I was running, I saw this house, and I ran to this house, and I bent down and covered myself. And then that's when I realized, well, there's nothing I can do here. And the house that I ran, they had a bush behind it. That's why but I couldn't stay there.
Right.
And so I got up and I continued to
Were
run.
they after you think?
I couldn't even tell. I didn't even
tell.
look back.
Yeah.
And so I began to leave from that house where I was, and this car pulled right in front of me. Just pulled right in front of me, jumped out. I never saw the person's face.
Yeah.
And he had on some scrubs, like during that time, Bental employees wore the green scrubs.
Yeah.
And he had on this kind of thing. And so he pulled off his shirt, and he said, put this on. He said, come on, get in the car. I'm going to take you home. And I said, no.
Stranger,
I said, no.
perfect stranger.
Perfect stranger. I said, no, you may try to hurt me. Those were my exact words. He said, no, ma'am, I'm not going to hurt you. Apparently, I can see you're in trouble. Just let me take you home. But I never looked him in his face. I never saw his face. I don't think I even thought to look in his face. Right. And so I got in his car, and when I got in his car and he began to drive, this car, I promise you, this car began to go straight up in the air. It's like it went straight up, going straight in the air. Right. That's all I can explain it to you how I saw it.
Right.
And so when I look back, that's when I saw the guys. They were running towards the car.
Wow.
And we kept going up.
Right.
The car kept going up.
Wow.
And before I knew it, I was at home. And when I looked, I did not see the guy's face to this day. I never saw his face.
Wow.
But Carla, I must say this here at the end of that story. When I got out that vehicle and I got into my house and I knew I was home safe and sound, I sat there and I kept saying I never saw his face. I let that go.
Right.
I let that go. Do you think that I stopped smoking? I stopped smoking for one day. This is how bad addiction is. This is how bad crack addiction, water, and people putting stuff in their born fluid. This is how bad it is. You can go through all of that, and that will cause you, you know. But I realized today that everything I went through, God was with me. Do you not know the gun I told you about?
Right.
When I had to squirm out of that,
Right,
the Lord
right.
told me, I was with you right there.
Amen.
That's how you got out of that.
Yes.
The Lord even showed me in my salvation. Now, I didn't see clearly until I got saved.
Right.
A few years after I was saved. And the Lord told me that in that car, through that door, that crack, He opened that door so that I can be able to go through that crack and get out of there. He the one that sent the car. He told me, it showed me every place where I was in danger.
Wow.
He even told me, you know why you don't have HIV and AIDS?
Wow.
He said, that's because I kept you protected.
Jesus.
So everything I ever went through in my life is because God showed me that he was there.
That he was there to cover you. You know, oftentimes people think that it's just the addict that's going through.
Yes.
But it really affects the family.
It really does.
It really affects the family. It's hard to see a family member in the throes of addiction. How did it affect your family, and who did it hurt the hardest?
Well, let me tell you, my mom and my twin sister, I believe it really hurt the hardest, especially my twin sister. My twin sister was devastated. I've never saw her, but I tell you, in my addiction, she never turned her face on me. Anytime she came to me, she looked me in my face and she talked to me. For Christmas, she bought me a Christmas. She made sure I had something nice to wear for Christmas, and something nice to wear for Easter, and something nice to wear for Thanksgiving, but she did not give me any money. If she came to the house, she is the only one that made sure I had some food in the house.
Wow.
And I had some Kool-Aid or Pepsi, but she was not giving me a dime.
Right. How important is it for family to support you like that? Some people think that, you know, if I give you something, it keeps you in your addiction longer. Or if I don't give you something, then you'll go out there and do something you're not supposed to. So how important is it to get family support when you're in suffering with addiction?
Well, that's a difference. What family can do, if you're hungry, feed your child. Feed your cousin, your brother, whoever it is, feed them.
Right.
If they need a shirt, you got plenty of clothes. Give them something to wear, but don't become their enabler. Because often what happens is, in addiction, we want to grab them and we want to take them out of the wilderness when we're only doing more harm than good.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times, a lot of families, and I've seen it, will let their child, their 17-year-old, 16 or 20-year-old come and live in the house. Yes. Well, it's just better if you smoke here.
Exactly.
You know, and so you're doing more harm than you are doing good, because eventually they can die in your house.
Exactly.
You know, and so it affects families so that their family, they walk more in their emotions than in common sense or wisdom. You know, because addicted person you cannot protect. Sometimes you got to come with, okay, now I've been helping you for years and years and years and years, and so now you got to come with some tough love. Sometimes you're going to have to leave us out in, I said us, because those are my people. Yes. You know, and so sometimes you have to leave out in the wilderness and let God do what he going to do. Yeah. Because your job is to continue to pray, because that's all you can do. Exactly. You know, a lot of people talk about rehab. The family want to send us to rehab. Right. You know, but then you have a lot of, I must say this, Christians that say you don't need rehab. All you need is God. Well, of course we need God. All of us without addiction need God, but God is a good God. And let me tell you what God do. If you're sick, he got a hospital for you. If you're a thief, he got a jail for you. If you're an addict, guess where? He got places for you to go. Get there and get them there. Because what that does, when the family pushes us towards rehab, well, then what happens is now we'll begin to be detox. Right. And so if we're a detox for 30 or 90 days, then once we come out, we're able to make our own choices. That's right. Before we get into talking about detox and rehab, I want you to share with the listening audience, what was the breaking point for you? Was your nephew or? It was my nephew, yes it was. Let's share my rock bottom, that's what we call it. Rock bottom. The rock bottom for me is my nephew, Kevin. He was going to college, his first year. He was going to college, bless his heart, and his mother and father had rented him a car. And that night I was over there, I asked if I can go to the store in the car, and I took the car. And I was gone in the car for probably a day, a whole day. Wow. And they ended up having to take him to college. I think he was in Lubbock. He was going to Lubbock, Texas. Wow. And so I took the car and everything, and I was gone all night long smoking crack cocaine. And on my way home, as I was coming, bringing the car back to my sister's house, I just wanted to die. I really did, because now I don't have children. And so Kevin, he is my twin sister's firstborn. He's like my baby. And I was the first one that held him when the doctors brought him out you know. And so to hurt him, to hurt my baby like that, now I don't went too far.
Right.
That's crossing the line. To hurt him like that, you know, it
so
was
that
rock
was your
bottom
rock
for
bottom.
me. Yes, and then so on my way home, I wanted to kill myself. I really, really did, because now I done affected so many other people. Now I'm gonna affect a child that's trying to go to college, my baby, and so what I did, I saw this 18-wheeler truck, and I was crying and crying and crying. And so in my mind, my thoughts was telling me, just go on and just kill yourself. Because you not just go ahead on and kill yourself. Just run right in the back.
So bad.
I felt so bad. Just run right in the back. Because not only with Kevin, but everything else started flooding. The things I did and things I did for drugs and everything I put myself through. I'm not going to ever get off of this stuff. You know, it was just too much going on in my life. And so, I was ready to go then. I was ready to kill myself. And so as I got ready to accelerate that gas pedal, and I did, and I pushed down on it. I was ready. I'm ready to go and hit right in the back of this 18-wheeler.
You were ready to end it all
I was
right
ready.
there.
I was ready, but I can remember when I pushed down on the accelerator, well, the needle wasn't moving fast enough. And I know, Carla, I pushed down to just give it a, I'm already going 55 because I'm on the freeway. All I got to do is just push down to the floor, and this ought to be it for me. Well, instead of the needle going forward, it started going backwards, and the car started to slow down. Started slowing down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
You know, oh my God. But before I knew it, the 18-wheeler is gone, and I'm going in the opposite direction.
Wow.
Because I'm heading to 2234. So I went ahead on and I drove and got to the house and everything, and I knew that they was going to ask for the key and put me out. Because I was living with them periodically, you know, in and out. And so I knew then that that was going to be the day.
Wow.
And that is the day that I took myself.
And that is the day.
That is the day.
Would you say that that people in the throes of addiction need a rock bottom?
Yes.
Need a rock bottom?
Yes. Oh, and they will have their rock bottom. That rock bottom will either keep you alive, or that your rock bottom will send you to prison, or your rock bottom will send you to the grave. But it will be a rock bottom. You can trust me on that. It will be a rock bottom.
Wow. So after that rock bottom, after hitting rock bottom, where did you go to get help? How did that come about? Did you go to a rehab facility? Did your family take you? Or just what? Well,
what I did was I decided to take myself. I've never been to rehab all the 10, 12, 13 years at this time that I was on crack cocaine. And what I did was after Audrey and Richard, I gave them their key back, and Audrey, she was so devastated after I done took her child's car. She didn't want to talk to me. She didn't want to see me. But I did go in her room, and I did see her, and I left. And so then I got me a phone book, found me a phone book, and I went on to Riverside. They told me to be there at 7:30. Told me to be there at 6:30 the next morning. So I took the rest of the day drinking and smoking.
Wow.
That was going to be my last big boom right there.
And I think that's what a lot of addicts do before they're going into rehab. It's like one big last hoorah.
Yes, one big last rock, one binge, one little, this going to be the last party, and so forth. And so I really didn't have any money. I had a few dollars. I got me a couple of cheap beers and whatever, and had me a little smoke that day. But then that morning I got up and I drove myself to Riverside Clinic, which is right there on Ennis.
Definitely.
And I got in there at 6:30, and I knew then before I walked in, I knew it. Once I walk in here, I would never, ever, ever come back. I'd never, ever come back to this place again. So I went in, and it was about 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and these people the director came out. It was 4 o'clock p.m. at this time. Everybody was being called but me. So finally he came out.
So you got there that morning.
I got there that morning.
It's 4 p.m., but you were determined, so you stayed there.
I stayed there because you don't have to stay. The door is always wide open, and you can walk out at any time. But once I got in there, I knew I was going to stay until somebody saw me, because now it's not in my mind to get help. Now it done dropped in my heart.
Wow.
And so the determination comes from the heart. It's a big difference, because when you're addicted, I'm gonna stop, I'm sorry. You tell your family, I'm sorry. You just become a sorry person, to where when you continue to say you're sorry, nobody believes you. You're just a sorry person. That's basically what you become.
Yeah.
And so after 4 o'clock, the director came out and he said, no one called you in? I said, no sir, not yet. And he said, well, come on in my office. So I went in his office and everything. We sat down and we talked, and he said, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to detox you for a couple of days, and I'm going to send you up to the 2nd floor and so forth. And I got to the 2nd floor and got in there and laid down a little bit, and then my withdrawals began to come.
And what were they like?
And my withdrawals were sweating, shaking, some hallucinations.
Really?
And yes.
But in the midst of all of the withdrawals, and in the midst of all of those symptoms, you had made up in your mind that you weren't going to go back.
Yes.
Never once in the midst of all of that you say, God, I don't think I could deal with this.
No.
You were determined.
I was determined. A lady came in and she said, I forget the name of the little pills that help you with the withdrawal.
Okay.
And she offered me some, and I told her, no, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go through it. And at the time, her name was Lewis, and she said, Miss Lewis, she said, you can't go through this by yourself, baby. She said, now, baby, you need to take one of these. It's going to help you. It's going to help you to relax. I said, no, I think I'm just going to go ahead on and go through it.
So you didn't take it?
And so I didn't take it. And so then after a couple of hours, she came back in, and she sat in the bed, and she put me, sort of grabbed from my head to maybe my midsection in her lap, and she just rocked with me. And she stayed with me. She stayed with me, and she said, baby, I've been here many, many years. She said, I ain't never in my life seen anybody that was addicted to crack cocaine or any other drugs come in here and do this cold turkey like this. Wow. She said, I'm gonna stay right here with you, baby. And
because you were determined.
Yeah. And she stayed there right with me. And after a couple of days, I went to the women's rehab. Wow. I went right there, and that's when I called my twin sister, and I told her where I was so they wouldn't worry. I didn't want them to think I was in jail or I was dead somewhere. And so I told her where I was, and immediately that same day, my twin sister, she over there with bags. I couldn't see her. Yeah. You know, they don't let you see anyone in your family, but she brought me everything I need. Yeah.
Were you homeless before you went to the rehab? Did it ever get so bad that you were homeless?
No.
Okay.
No, and the reason why is, and the reason for that is because I stayed in wherever they was doing crack. If I stayed all night there, I stayed all night there. I always had somewhere to go. Oh. See, now I wasn't one. I didn't have to sleep on a bench or anything like that. There are plenty of crack houses that you can stay in. Right. You know, now family members would call it homeless. Right. You know why? Because we don't have a job and we don't have our own place, and you're not letting me stay with you. Definitely. But I'm staying somewhere.
Definitely. Listen, what would you say to somebody who's in the throes of addiction, who think that they cannot? Because you had gone to rehab. You stayed there how many days?
I stayed in rehab. Well, this is what I told myself, and I told the administrator when I got over to the women's rehab. I told them that I was only staying 20 days.
20 days.
The administrator said, you must be crazy. She said, ma'am, that's not going to work. You can't do 20 days. Ain't nobody ever came in here talking about it. And she was very, very strong-willed woman.
Right, because normally it takes how...
some people go 30 days. Okay. You know, but they relapse and come back. They relapse and come back. I've seen it over time and time again. Some take 60 days or 90 days, but they keep relapsing and they keep coming back. Right. Before I went in there, I said, I'm only staying 20 days and I'm not coming back. This is it. I'm not coming back and do rehab. I will not be smoking crack cocaine, any other drugs anymore. I'm staying 20 days. Wow. 20 days came. Wow. And Andre picked me up. And when I left, the administrator say, listen here, Miss Lewis, we're going to have a bed for you when you get back. You'll be back. I'm going to have a bed for you. While she was talking to me, I never looked back at her because I'm not coming back. And so while I was in rehab, I'm going to tell you what I did. In the morning, I ate the word. In the afternoon, I ate the
Go
word.
ahead.
At night, I ate the word. In the middle of the day, I ate the word. I slept the word. I drank the
That's
word.
good.
Everything I did it in the word.
In the
To
word.
where other addicts was coming in saying,
Right.
"Oh, excuse me, can you pray for me?" I ended up praying for people. To make a long story short, before I left rehab in those 20 days, I prayed for at least 100 and something women.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
they asked me to. The lady, she came and she said, "Listen, they know that you in the word and you seem to done found God." And I said, "No, I didn't find him."
Wow.
I say, he wasn't lost. I didn't find him. I said, but if you give me the privilege, and I prayed like I ain't never prayed before for each woman.
Wow.
And then that's when I left, and I never looked back.
Really quickly, what would you say to somebody who's in the grips of addiction?
Let me tell you.
What would you say to them? There's a camera there, camera everywhere. What would you say to them, Minister Arleen Josey?
Let me tell you, if you are in the church and you are addicted to crack cocaine, marijuana, and you feel like you're not getting any help, or if you have a family member that's addicted to crack cocaine or any other drug, whoever you are, if you're listening to me right now, I'm going to tell you something. I know you want to quit, and I know you want to stop, but you cannot do this by yourself, and your family members cannot help you. What you need to do is get it out of your mind that you want to quit and get it down in your heart. And the minute that you get it down in your heart, I promise you, there is a person that is called the Holy Spirit. When you get it in your heart, the Holy Spirit will give you everything that you need to direct you and where you need to go.
Wow.
I'm telling you, family members, stop talking about us. If you are saved and you filled with the Holy Ghost, why don't you see us saved? Why don't you see us as addicts being saved like you were saved? Why don't you see us? See us. Look at us. Don't look at the addiction, but look at us. And see us saved by grace. And I want to tell the person that's on addiction, I love you. I love you with my whole heart, my soul, and my mind. But you can do this. Now quit this foolishness. Because you can do this. I don't want to hear what you can't do. Yes, you can.
Because you're talking from experience.
Yes, I'm talking from experience, and I know you can do it. And I'm going to tell you this. If you don't think you can do it, you get in touch with me. If you really, really, really mean it, I'll walk with you.
Man, how can they reach you? How
You
can
can
they get in touch with you?
This is how you reach me. I want you to call my cell phone number. That number is 713-319-5469. If you give me 60 days, not 30 days, not 20 days, but if you give me 60 days, I'll walk this walk with you, and I guarantee you, you'll have a story like I got, and you will come from addiction to grace.
From addiction to grace. From addiction to grace.
And
it's possible.
And may I just say this one last thing, Carla? I give God all the glory, because I'm telling you something. I had no power. None. I had no power. But I had to do something, because I found out that God is not a magician. And he's not going to snap his finger and make something happen. We got to do something. And if you do something, you got to pick yourself up like I did. Get yourself somewhere. And get in that word and let God save you. You cannot do this without salvation. If you confess the Lord Jesus with your mouth, believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, he will save you. And guess what? You don't have to change what you wear. He will do that. You don't have to dress up. He will do that. You don't have to act like that you are something that you are not. He will make you everything that you need to be and more. But you got to do something now.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Minister Arleen Josey, my God, I knew having you here today would be a life-changing event. God bless you. I know that somebody who's listening, please share this, because somebody out there needs to hear. Too many people need to hear this message. Thank you so very much.